UX is tough, not because of the work itself, but because of everything around it. The pressure, the politics, the self-doubt. Joe Natoli has been through it all, and for more than 30 years, he's been helping UXers and designers find their way through the challenges that really make or break a career. Not the wireframes or design tools, but impostor syndrome, office politics, bad bosses, and learning to stand your ground. This is Making UX Work, where he tackles the battles no boot camp, book, or conference ever prepares you for, and shows you how to come out stronger on the other side.
Let me say something up front that might make you a little uncomfortable. You don't need permission to start doing the right thing. Not from your boss, not from some VP, not from some official process document or a JIRA ticket or a sign-off chain or whatever. If you see something broken and you have a better way to approach it, you start, you move, you act. Because here's the truth. In most of the companies I've worked with, if you wait for someone to tell you it's okay to improve something, you're going to be waiting until retirement. So let's talk about what this looks like in real life. When I first started out in design, back when dinosaurs roamed the earth, I was constantly looking around for someone to say, hey, it's okay to go ahead and fix this. I really thought that, if I didn't have a mandate or if I didn't have the authority, then I didn't have the right to touch the problem. I was wrong about that, okay? Because that mindset kept me small. It kept me quiet, frustrated. And over time, I realized that the people who actually got things done weren't waiting for anything or anybody. They were moving, all right, proposing, making, doing. And yeah, sometimes cleaning up the mess afterward if they were wrong. But they weren't stuck. And they also weren't invisible. Let me be clear about something. I'm not saying you should go rogue and tear down systems without warning. I'm saying that there's a difference between being reckless and being resourceful. Here's what being resourceful looks like. Okay, you see a broken handoff process between research and design. So you document what's happening and you propose a much simpler version, simpler workflow, simpler way of getting design and development to work together. Or you notice the same accessibility issue crops up over and over and over and over again across several screens. So you make a checklist and you start running your own quick audits. Or maybe you observe that your product managers are always asking for the same design documentation, so you preempt it, right? You build a flexible template and you share it with everybody. Nobody told you to do those things, but you did them. And you know what happens when you do that? People notice. And eventually they start relying on you, trusting you, looking to you, because you're not sitting around waiting for the machine to run smoothly. You're helping fix it, right? You're doing proactive maintenance. You're making sure that it runs the way it's supposed to without anyone telling you, hey, we really should do something about this. Now, here's what I hear all the time from UXers and designers. They'll go, well, I'm not senior enough, for that kind of stuff. Or I'm just a junior. Or I don't want to step on anybody's toes here. I get it. Okay. You don't want to get in trouble. You don't want to overstep. And if you work in a place with high politics or controlling leadership, that fear might be very real. All right. I get that. But in most cases, it's not a rule. It's a story. It's a fear-based story that you're telling yourself, and it's costing you. Every single time you don't act on what you know is broken, you're reinforcing the idea that you don't have that power, that you need to be picked, that you need to be chosen, right? That you need permission. Look, in the work that I do with teams, I've seen designers get extraordinary things done without any authority, right? I've seen juniors rework workflows that made everyone's life easier. I've watched interns rebuild entire onboarding documents that saved their teams hours of wasted time. You know what all those folks had in common? They didn't wait for someone to say, go, do it. They saw the need, they did the work, they made it better. And then, here's the best part, the most important part, they told people what they did. All right, this is the important part, because a lot of you are out here doing that invisible labor. You're fixing things in the background. You're smoothing over gaps in process, right? You're translating all that stakeholder chaos into clarity, and you're not telling anyone. Stop doing that. I don't mean you start bragging. I mean document it, share it. Say, hey, I saw this issue, so I try to do something about it. Even if it doesn't work, you're still showing leadership. You're showing initiative. You're showing that you give a shit. That matters. And here are some of the byproducts of what happens when you stop waiting for permission. You stop seeing yourself as a victim of process and you start seeing yourself as a participant in progress, right? Difference. You start building credibility, not because someone gave it to you, but because by your actions, you've earned it. And you start to feel a lot less powerless, less invisible, less like you're just pushing pixels all day or whatever it happens to be. And maybe most important of all, you start to see that you're not stuck, because you're not. If you're working in a rigid, top-down, bureaucratic nightmare where initiative gets punished, yeah, you got to be careful. You got to read the room, okay? You're going to need allies. But in most organizations, the thing that's holding you back is not the organization, or its politics, or its structure, or its anything. What's holding you back is the lie that you're not allowed to act without permission, and it's just not true. You don't need a fancy title. You don't need 10 years of experience. You don't need to be invited. You just need to care enough to try. And that might feel scary. And if it does, start small. All right? Fix one annoying thing. Make one process easier. Help one person do their job better. Look, you don't have to change the world. All right? Just change one part of it. Start there. Stop waiting. Go.
You've been listening to Making UX Work with Joe Natoli. Honest talk about the hidden challenges that shape a design career. See you next time. And until then, onward and upward.